Hello, you're welcome. My name is Ikenna Caleb and today I'm going to show you the steps to create a Python virtual environment. If that's something that interests you, consider subscribing to this channel and give it a thumbs up so that more people will see videos just like this. First, we need to understand what is a virtual environment and why do I need a virtual environment. Then how do I need to create a virtual environment in Python? First of all, a virtual environment is a directory in your folder, system folder, but unlike other directories that are visible in your file systems when you navigate through your system files, the virtual environment is only accessible for that particular project. So the virtual environment is a self-contained directory that allows you to install and manage the packages that are specific to a particular project. Let's say you are building an app, you are building a particular application, and that application needs certain packages. So instead of installing the package in all your Python scripts so that it will affect all your projects you are working on, you may want to create a virtual environment for that specific project so that you install packages that are important or relevant to that particular project. So those packages that are needed for your project is what we call the dependencies, and it separates your project specific dependency from the system-wide Python installation. Now, why do we even need to create a virtual environment? First of all, it's dependency isolation. So what we mean by that is that it prevents conflict between packages required by different projects. So let's say you're working on one project and that project needs a Python package of a specific version, and then you now created another project and that project needs a specific version of the same library. So it's going to cause conflict if the version are different. So in order to prevent that, we create what we call a virtual environment, which is essentially a directory that is isolated for a specific project. And then each project can use its specific versions of libraries without affecting others. And that's the second reason for creating a virtual environment is for simplified development. It makes it easier to create the environment in production by exporting the installed dependencies. So you can export the installed dependencies in what we call the requirement.txt file. So the requirement for a specific project can be exported. In other words, just similar to the package.json file you have in any Node.js project. So that package or the list of required dependencies can be exported since you are working with a specific environment for that particular project. Then secondly, controlled environment ensures that you have thirdly, controlled environment ensures that you have consistent versions of dependencies for development, testing, and deployment. Now, the next thing we need to know is, now we know what is virtual environment, why we need to create a virtual environment. The next question you might ask is, how does it work? How does it work? A virtual environment creates a directory known as for example, the venv directory, which stands for virtual environment, that contains a local copy of the Python interpreter. It contains a local copy of the Python interpreter, a bin or a script on the Windows folder for executables, and then also a lib folder for installed libraries. Then also isolation. When you activate the virtual environment, it overrides the global Python path with its local path, ensuring that commands like Python and pip use the environment specific versions. Now what we need to do now is we need to know how to create a virtual environment. So to create a virtual environment, first of all, we need to create that virtual environment within a specific folder. Let's say we have a folder. We have a folder here. Let's say in the desktop, we create a folder called my project roots, my project root directory. That's the name of the folder. Then we need to navigate into that folder. So cd into desktop. Let me simply copy this part, enter the directory, and then copy this part. Come here and type cd and then paste the part we just copied. Enter. Now we are inside that directory. Now within that directory, the project root directory, I'm going to create the virtual environment. To do that, I will say venv. I'm going to say python -m venv, then venv. This will create the virtual environment for us, and this will take a couple of time to create. So let's wait for it until it finish creating. So the Python virtual environment has been created. This took about 30 seconds. Then the next thing we need to do now, we need to activate the virtual environment. So we'll say venv /scripts /activate. So this has activated the virtual environment in our system. So the next thing we need to do now is to install packages that we need for our project. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to type here pip install. For example, I want to install numpy as well as pandas. So I want to install these two packages. So type pip install numpy pandas and then click enter. So I'm assuming these are the packages I want to install for this specific project called my project root. The my project root can be anything. It could be let's say you are building a school management system. So you want to install the packages that are needed for that school management system, or you are building a facial recognition app. So you want to create a virtual environment specific to that particular project. So right now I'm installing it. So you have to ensure that you have data connection for you to be able to install packages. Let's wait for it to finish installing. Wow, great. So the installation was successful. Now what we want to do now is that I want to open up the project directory in our VS Code. So what I can do now is that I can type here code dot. This will only work if you are using VS Code. So type code dot to open up that folder. So you can see that within our folder we have the my project root, which is the root directory of the project, and then within this directory we have the venv subdirectory, which will contain all the scripts for that specific Python project. And then here you can see the lib folder contains the list of installed packages, and then here you can see the scripts for that particular Python package. Then you can see the Python venv.config file here. But what I want you to note, very important, is that the virtual environment is to contain only your Python codes. So let's assume now you are building an app for both front end and back end. So you are using Python for back end. I want to create the directory for the front end. So what you can do is that you can say you can come back to the root directory of your application and then install the package that you want. So let's come to the root directory of our project, open up the command prompt, and then here what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a React project. So to do that, I'll type npx create React app, and the name of the React app, I'm going to call it Frontend. So this will install the React library into the root folder of our application. So currently it is installing the React application into the root folder of our app. So the React stands as the front end development framework, whereas we're using the Python for the back end. After typing npx create React apps and then the name of the application, the React application, it took about a minute. Then I was prompted to say create React app. What I'm going to say, I'm going to type Y for OK. This will download all the necessary React packages for our React application to work. So let's wait for it. So currently it's installing the required packages. So right now I'm going to go and take a glass of water and then come back after the installation is successful. Process of installing, I encountered an error. What I can do, I can say type this command here, pip install, or type cd into the folder that we created, the front end folder, which is the folder for our React app. So let's change directly into that folder. So cd into front end and then type pip or npm, since we are using Node for the front end, npm install to ensure that the packages are being installed successfully. Again, we have to wait for this process to complete. So the process was complete. What we need to do next is we need to now open this folder this file that we just created. So another way to open a folder in VS Code is to click on files and then say open folder. So the folder I want to open is the root directory of our application. So click on my project directory and click select folder. This will open the folder in our VS Code. Then what we can do next is that we can see that the front end folder contains all the packages that we need. The node modules are there. Then if you look at the package.json, you can see the installed modules there. Now let's assume I want to install additional module. Let's say I want to install Axio. So what I'll do, I'll click on these three dot icons, terminal, I say new terminal, and then after opening up the new terminal, what I want to do, I want to cd into the front end folder and then install additional packages I want for my React project. So I can say npx or npm install React router DOM and then Axios, and as well as Tailwind. Or okay, let me install these two first. I'm installing React router DOM and Axios. So the process of installation has started. The React router DOM and the Axios package have been installed. Let's say I want to install additional packages. So npm install materialize CSS for styling my application. Now, take note, you don't need to install all these packages. What I'm doing is that I'm demonstrating how to separate the front end and the back end, and also to create a virtual environment for the back end. So after installing the necessary packages for the back end, what I want to do, I want to change to the root directory of our application. So what I will do, I'll say double dots and then slash. Okay, what I can say, to navigate to the root directory, let me close VS Code again and then click on copy these parts here and says cd into this root directory and then say code dots. So within the root directory, what I want to install now is Django. So I can say pip, which stands for Python package index, pip install Django. So this will install the Django framework to develop our application, our Python application. So why I'm installing this is because in the next video I'm going to show you how to create a school management system. So the first step in this project is to install all required packages. So right now I'm installing Django. So the installation process is ongoing. It's installing collected packages. So let me pause this video and play it after the installation is successful. The Django installation process was successful. Another package I want to install is, say, pip install the Django Rest Framework. So Django Rest Framework. So this will install the framework for us to work with REST API in Django. The key takeaway in this tutorial on how to create a virtual environment in Python is that, first of all, you create a root directory in your system that is going to contain all the codes that you need for your project, and then within the root directory you're going to create a virtual environment by typing the command. The command, I've already typed it here. It says python -m venv and venv That is to create the virtual environment. After that, you type this command here to activate the virtual environment. After activating the virtual environment within your root directory, then you can directly install all the Python packages within your root directory. For example, I installed NumPy and Pandas, and then after that you can also create another directory. You can also create another directory within your application that is going to store your front end. So if you are using create React app, you can simply type this command. You can say pip install. You can type npx create React app, and then the name of the React app, I called it front end. After that, to install the front end package. Then if you want to install additional packages for the front end, you have to navigate to the front end folder by saying cd, then the name of the folder where you have your front end. I call it front end folder. I call it front end. Then within that front end, then you can type npm, that which stands for node package manager, to install other required packages for the front end. So with this, we are able to separate between the front end and the back end, and also we are able to create a virtual environment for our Python package that is going to isolate the required packages to prevent conflict between different versions of Python of packages for our specific project and another project that we may have created in time past. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up. In the next tutorials, I'm going to show you more videos on how to create a school management system. That's the project I'm working on now. So if you want to learn how I do that, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up so that you'll be able to see updates when I release future videos. Thank you for watching. I'll now see you in the next video.